Tell me the case for atheism.
For atheism?
Yes.
Well, I'm an agnostic, so...
Oh, then tell me what it's like to not know.
Do not know. I mean, you kind of know it already, except that you won't accept it.
Oh, that's interesting.
That's my point.
So those who deny Christ don't have the Holy Spirit. That's what we're told in the Scripture.
Well, there's simply no proof that the Holy Spirit exists.
Why
It's
do you
not
need
that
proof?
trustworthy.
Do you have proof of your mother's love?
Yeah.
Like you have physical acts, but the feeling that you get when your mother, like when you're a child, when your knee is hurt and you cuddle your mum,
Yeah.
that feeling,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
can't prove that to me. You can't
Yeah,
prove
sure
to
I
me.
can.
Show me it. Let me see it.
No, I can't prove it to you, because you know how it is to be hugged by somebody who you like.
I was created
and
in a
that's the
petri
same
dish.
thing.
I'm a sociopath. I don't have those bits. Tell
Well,
me,
in that
prove it.
case, your sense of self is not the same as mine. You know, if
But I
you're
would
a
like you to
sociopath,
prove the unseen.
to prove what?
The unseen.
The unseen.
Your feeling is unseen by me.
Yeah, but the feeling actually exists. It's a
How do
chemical
you know
reaction.
it's not a false memory?
It's a chemical
How do
reaction.
you know it's not a false memory?
Okay, look, you can see electrical currents, except that you can't see it by the naked eye. You can't see the power of God. You can't see God. God is not
yes,
like electricity.
Yes, you can. If you were in
How
Palestine
do you see God?
2,000 something years ago, you would have seen God walking among men.
No, hold on, but that's something that you believe in. That's not something you
But
have
you're
proof of.
referencing the Holy Spirit, so you believe in a triunity or some form of plurality within God
No,
that you
I
can't
simply
see.
don't believe in God.
But you're asserting to me that the unseen is knowable. Is
No,
that
I'm
right?
asserting to you that the things, for example, like love, you know, like a chemical reaction,
Yes.
or like electrical current in the brain, is not something unseen. It's something you can see, but just not with naked eye. You know what I mean? Now,
Exactly, and God is
can't
the
be
same.
seen.
Yes, he can. Right,
Oh,
Ben.
you're talking about proof. Proof God exists. Would you not agree that proof presupposes truth, and therefore truth presupposes the existence of God? Because without God, there's no such thing as truth. Stuff just happens. Would you agree?
Nothing much.
Would you agree that proof presupposes truth, truth presupposes God, because without God, there's nothing true, stuff just happens. So you're asking
You're assuming that there's an
you're asking-
absolute idea of truth from which you can begin.
So you don't
And
believe
you're
in one
asserting
second.
that's
So you don't believe in absolute truth.
Hold on. There's simply no way
Yeah,
for
brother.
us to perceive an absolute truth. There might be an absolute reality that is the same for everybody,
Okay.
but we can't perceive it because all the information we have comes to us through our senses, and thus seeing that it's filtered and corrupted
So
by
do
our
you believe
senses,
in absolute truth?
it might exist.
I'm going to ask you why. Do you believe in absolute truth? Yes
Do I
or no?
believe it?
Yeah.
Well, I believe it might
If
exist.
you don't, just say no. It's fine.
No, look, man. The thing is, you're looking for absolute faith.
No, the problem is you're
No. You're
stuck.
looking for absolute faith when you convince yourself that you got the answer. When in reality, you don't have enough proof to get
No,
the answer.
the problem. So you keep going back to this word proof. Proof presupposes truth. Truth presupposes God. Because without God, there's nothing true. Stuff just happens. And the reason you won't say.
No,
No,
proof
one second,
presupposes
Pavlov.
probability.
You got stuck a moment ago because you're saying it might exist. Because if you take the consistent route in your belief and say that absolute truth doesn't exist, that's a contradictory statement. Because to say absolute truth doesn't exist, you are at least saying it's absolutely true that absolute truth doesn't exist, which is contradictory, which is your worldview.
Sure,
with due
not
respect.
really. What I mean is, I can't perceive the absolute truth. So I can't assert whether it exists or not.
So you can't be certain.
It's
about
an assumption.
Okay, so you can't be certain about anything. Really.
Of course not.
Okay, see that's again contradictory. To say I
Be
can't,
certain,
to
it can't be
say
certain.
to say I can't be certain about anything.
I've heard this
One
argument
second,
so
one
many
second.
times
No,
that it's
Why
just
don't
not
you
left.
refute it easily?
Go ahead, I'll let you
If it's that
finish.
easy, refute it. He just said that you can't be certain about anything. To say I can't be certain about anything is a contradictory statement because you are at least saying I can be certain that I can't be certain about anything. So your comment is contradictory, which again is the worldview you're holding on to. The worldview you're holding on to is inconsistent and contradictory because without God, there is no such thing as truth. There is no such thing as proof. Because proof presupposes truth. Truth presupposes God. You're stuck in a circle.
You should do one of those commercials where you speak real fast and you say a lot of information, but then people don't understand
Well,
any of
answer
that
it.
information.
Answer it.
I'll answer it. You know, I've heard this argument many times from many Muslims in the park because they're usually the ones who give this argument.
Okay.
That are you certain that nothing is certain? And my answer is no. And they laugh because if you're not certain, then it contradicts itself. But it doesn't, because what we have is approximations to a reality that we don't understand. You know, me saying that nothing can be we can't be certain of anything is uncertain because I'm not a perfect person. I don't have absolute knowledge. and seeing that I can't possess that absolute knowledge, I can't say that my assumption about uncertainty is certain. Do you understand the problem here? Because you're looking for certain knowledge from me when you don't have either. You don't have certain knowledge either. You can tell yourself or tell me that you got all
Again, it's contradictory. I'm sorry, he's saying...
but it's not, that's the thing. That's my point. Look, hold on. Hold on, guys. I'll let you finish like we finished. You guys are coming from the supposition that you can say something with absolute certainty.
Yes.
Without actually needing any proof. But you can't. It doesn't make any sense.
No, so this is contradictory. You're saying you're certain you can say something with certainty, but you can't. You're saying you're certain that we can't say anything with certainty.
I'm not saying I'm
You just
certain.
said you
I'm saying
can't.
what I'm
You
saying
don't.
has more probability than what you're saying.
Your whole entire argument is contradictory. You're saying that I can't be certain about anything. Then you're but then you're saying you can't be certain that you could be certain about anything, which again is a certain claim. You're saying I'm certain, you can't be certain, you can't be certain about anything. It doesn't make sense. Your whole entire argument is contradictory.
And excuse me, gentlemen, I did start this. And your assertion that you have probability implies uncertainty, because probability is just on a scale. Absolute truth, which I can assert because I will assert it, because I am able to assert it, and I have the proof in my heart where you can't see it, but you assert that it is true.
How can you assert absolute truth?
Because Jesus Christ told me he is the truth and he has never lied. I've never found him, hold on, I've never found him to be dishonest or misleading or an interpreter of nonsense. He's not a God of confusion. He speaks clearly to me through the Holy Spirit, and I have that certainty, because on Judgment Day I'm certain that I don't want to be standing there with probability.
So you assert absolute truth because you choose to believe in absolute truth, not because it
I'm not
actually
the only
exists.
one.
Well, exactly.
So on
That's
a
the problem of your argument.
probability scale, there
You
are two.
choose to assert
Excuse me.
it's absolute.
On a probability scale, there are 1.6 billion Muslims who
So
assert.
there you go. We're going
Who
for,
assert?
we're going for
We're talking
numbers.
probability. You brought up statistics. I'm giving them back to you, but
probability.
you're stopping
All
me
of
from
those
speaking
people,
because it
they-
shakes your argument.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so 2.2 billion Christians, 1.6 billion Muslims. That's 3.8 billion people on the planet who assert absolute truth. Then there are Gnostics who actually assert a truth. There are atheists who also assert an absolute truth, the non-existence of God. The Buddhists, the Jainists, like it just is endless. Every human being asserts there is a subjective absolute truth, and I assert also an objective moral standard of perfection, which is true.
Yeah, so
you're passing to him instead of passing to me.
You're arguing against absolute
No
truth.
problem. I'll
It's true. It's a trinity.
Is it absolutely true that rape is wrong? It's not true. So in some cases, rape is okay. In some circumstances, and this is the concept. No, one second. You see, he's got trapped. I'm going to point you out another.
You didn't get me trapped, man.
Let me finish.
It's funny because you think that you got
my friend, let me finish.
Go ahead.
You're saying that it's not always okay for rape to be wrong, okay? Now, let me ask this: if 3 big men was to come and rape you, you would say it's wrong, would you not? Yes? Yes.
More
Okay.
forcefully than that.
More
Okay, do you want to
inconsistency.
actually
He's saying rape isn't always wrong. If they rape me, it's wrong.
So subjectively,
This is gonna be good. Have you finished? Okay, excellent. It's not gonna be good for me. Everything, all kinds of morality we have is what's good for us. And what's good for us is to improve society, because society is good for us.
and therefore,
No.
That's good.
I waited for you guys patiently.
Let him finish.
Not interrupting. Now wait for me. Everything, that's what religious people always deny. Every single small part of morality is what's good for me. And what's good for me is to contribute for society,
deny myself
because
and
society
pick up my
contributes
cross.
back for me, and I'm not going to contribute to society if it wants to destroy me.
Okay, if that's the
You
case.
no. There you go,
Sorry,
there you
Pavlov,
go,
sorry.
there you go again. And then you give me these loaded questions, like, do you think rape is wrong?
There's an
Absolutely,
absolute
it's
standard.
wrong. For me.
He said it's absolutely
For
wrong,
me.
but a moment ago there's no
For
such
me.
thing as absolute truth.
For me. For me.
Oh my gosh, who is it
Can you
right
hear me?
for?
Can you guys hear me?
Yes,
I don't think you can hear me.
I can hear you. I
For
can't hear any
me.
absolute sense.
Because you can't listen.
I know what
you think there's an
subjective means.
absolute, transcendent idea
Yes.
rape is wrong. There isn't.
There
It's
is
wrong
absolute
because it's not
morality, yes, there is.
beneficial. There isn't.
Your whole
No
There's
way.
the genetic morality, which is to avoid pain. All living beings, they don't hurt other beings
That's
for
not
no
morality.
reason. Yes,
Pavlov.
yes,
That's
it
a
is the only
preference.
morality that actually exists.
No, sadomasochists don't have that.
I know you
It's
don't
not
believe in
absolute.
evolution, so you won't believe in what I'm saying.
Masochists enjoy pain.
No, Pavlov,
Yeah,
your
but
argument-
masochists are, self-destructive mutation.
No, maybe they're just
your
sexually
argument again,
masochistic.
your argument again is inconsistent. You're saying there's no such thing as absolute truth.
Yeah.
Then you're saying it's not absolutely true that rape is wrong, which is an absolute statement. So again, you've contradicted yourself there. And then to say it's okay for me, well, okay, for the rapist, it might be okay for them. It might be good for them.
Exactly.
It will fulfil their sexual lust. So there
moment.
so there seems to be a tension there. If morality is just subjective, you're saying it's wrong, they're saying it's right. Which one is right? Because you might ultimately you're making the argument that we should do what causes pleasure and shun what causes us pain. For them, it causes pleasure.
No, that's
for
not
them, it
necessarily
causes pleasure to rape you. What horrendous does that sound?
That's the argument.
One second.
Hold on. You're misrepresenting
I'll
me. You're
let you
misrepresenting.
finish.
Yeah, but you're
No,
misrepresenting.
I'm not. I'm just stating the arguments you've made. They're inconsistent.
You're misrepresenting.
Well, okay, if you like.
2 minutes, boys.
So
2
let's
minutes.
say now, for example, if for example,
Stand back.
if for example, society makes the rules and might make it right, we follow the
Coronavirus.
rules.
They won't do it.
The society makes we
Rebels.
follow that. Okay, in Nazi Germany, when they was killing the Jews, we said that's wrong to do.
Next thing you'll ask me, was killing the Jews okay?
If society,
Was it all right? Was it good?
if society says this is the way we should go, and we follow that as a general consensus, we should have left Nazi Germany to it. Now answer this: was it okay for the Nazis to kill the Jews? Yes or no? Was it right for them to do that in their society? Was it right?
Let's hear it what? Agnosticism.
Was it right for them to do that in that society?
Hold
Yes or
on, do
no?
I have an opportunity to elaborate the answer? Or are you
Yes,
going
of
around
course
the-
not.
And then it's my
And
turn.
here, Pavlov
Okay.
shows his
Pavlov,
skills.
and then
The
it's my
floor
turn.
is yours.
Okay, let's go, excellent. So if the Nazis won, if the Nazis took over the world, they would dictate the new sense of justice that humans would have. Yes, they would. The Nazis had a self-destructive ideology, and that's why I think that they didn't win. That's why they didn't win, because killing people based on race is self-destructive. It's not something beneficial for humanity, and it's not something beneficial for even a specific people like the Nazis. Imagine they won the war. After the war was won, they would start purging people inside of their own race. Imagine the Germanic race was the only one left. With an ideology like that, which is self-destructive, they would start killing people with specific traits. Like, for example, with a nose that is a little bit too wide, with a hair that's not the right shade, with eyes that are too big or
You
too
would have
small.
been fine, don't
They-
panic.
Probably not. I probably wouldn't be
Okay,
fine.
otherwise.
Because they would eventually start reducing the pool of people that are worthy to exist more and more and more and more, until humanity would
I'm seeing
basically
more- I'm
become
seeing more inconsistencies here.
incestuous.
I'm seeing more
And it would
inconsistencies.
stop,
Can I
stop
say
existing.
something? Okay, so
It
if
doesn't mean there's an absolute idea.
okay, if I'm
But that's an
looking-
absolute statement.
if
You can't have-
It's not an
gentlemen,
absolute statement. It's a
gentlemen,
statement
To
of
say
probability.
there's no such
If-
thing as absolute
li-
truth is an
hey,
absolute statement.
no,
You are-
it's
not.
you are-
Why
you
would
are
you trust
released-
me
you
to
are
know
released-
an
you are-
absolute
you
truth?
are
Am I
released
God?
saying-
It's
you are-
my
you
turn.
are
Am I
released-
God by
One
any
second.
chance?
Answer one thing. You are at least saying.
civility
You are
and
at least.
manners
You are at
are
least.
an absolute.
You are at least saying it's absolutely true. There's no such thing as absolute truth, which is an absolute
I'm
statement.
not
which
saying
is
it's an
contradictory.
absolute truth.
Excellent.
I'm
Thank
saying
you.
it's a
Right,
higher
right.
possibility than what you're saying.
Fucking right, excuse me. Okay, right. If I'm walking down the street and someone accidentally falls into me, trips me over, right? That's one on Monday. On Tuesday, someone intentionally tries to stick their foot out and I don't fall. I'm angry at the Tuesday guy, but the Monday guy, I think, well, it's just an accident. They're both doing the same action, but the intention is different. So I feel that one of them is wrong and one of them is blameless. They can't be helped. Because of that, I assert that the morality is outside of myself. I'm not subject. Everybody would most probably, they may feel angry at the time when they're on the floor, but they're going to hold the culprit of Tuesday's events to be blamed. So because of that, and it's a generalised thing, so the Abyssinians, the Egyptians, the Babylonians, the Israelites, they all held that rape or murder of one's mother was wrong. Not because their God told them, because it's an innate part of human nature that you don't punch old ladies in the face, you don't rape babies, you don't do those heinous things. Not because of society. So society in Nazi Germany, that was an absolutely legitimate pastime to kill a Jew. It was legal, it was all absolutely civilly correct, but it wasn't morally right, and the rest of the world noticed that. So I believe that the morality is outside of a subjective nature. I think that there's an absolute standard which we can hope to attain, but not by any natural means, because we are lustful, hateful, idolatrous, dishonest, thieving, raping, adulterers. Like we dishonour God, we dishonour, even if we don't believe in him, whatever. Dishonour our parents, children stab each other, trainers, and everyone knows it's wrong. Not because the newspapers tell us or the government decides, yes, actually today you can smoke cannabis, no you can't. It's outside of society. Society exists, or civil society exists, to promote the well-being, like you say, of the greater whole. But these objective moralities come from outside of humanity, because of ourselves we are degraded and debauched and deviant, and that is my statement.
Right, so I agree.
Under capitalism.
There you go.
Big up socialist worker.
Look, I agree that it's outside of society, but
Yes.
it's not outside of humanity. Because
But
this is what I
humanity
called
is
a while ago the genetic morality that people have developed. And I'll give you an example. For example, to help others, right? To selfless sacrifice for others. It's something genetic for people. But why is that genetic?
Damn.
Because bless you. Because imagine a situation where a bunch of cavemen are attacked by a pack of wolves. If every single one of them is completely selfish, they will each defend themselves, and they will not be able to fight off the wolves. And they will all die one by one. And thus, fighting in a group and risking yourself for the group is better than just being selfish and not doing anything for the group.
Sacrificial love.
Because it's part of evolution. Because all the people who didn't do that died.
No, all the people who did that died. All the
you
people
hear
who
the
died
example?
for their friends
Hold
died.
on. Did you hear the example?
A wolf
All the
if you fight them
people,
individually.
all the people who decided to be individual in a group of cavemen that were being attacked by a wolf pack died because
No,
they
not all
could
of
not.
them. Where's your evidence for the claim?
Because it's logical.
Where's your
If
evidence?
Look.
Logic,
If,
logic presupposes proof.
It's my evidence. I got this video of a bunch of cavemen
Truth
fighting
presupposes
against
God. You don't
wolves.
have that in your worldview.
No, I'm saying
No,
that the
no,
victim, the one who successfully slays
I think
the
you guys are
wolf,
not
lives.
liking the example, so
No,
you're
it's a
asking.
terrible example.
Why is it a
Yeah,
terrible
can I-
example? What do you think?
Yeah,
Hold on.
but-
What do you think would happen in a group of cavemen that's being attacked by wolves
If
when
the
the
wolf-
cavemen
if he
will
had a
try to
tool,
fight
I
back?
think he might win.
What's gonna happen? No, what's gonna happen?
The wolf will die.
I agree, you're probably right. If there's more wolves,
All I know is all four of them sneeze.
The team. That doesn't talk about morality.
Yes, it
No,
does.
no, it
Yes,
doesn't.
it does. About sacrifice of oneself for the other.
One second.
Damn.
So, I want to go back to your
I got my mask on, fam.
Things really going anywhere.
Oh, because you don't like
No,
this.
it doesn't make sense because he could have
I agree
lived.
with you. People will die. Yes, but that's not the conversation here.
Yes, it is.
A
If it
moment
was a wolf
ago,
whisperer.
sorry, 1 second. A moment
mask.
ago, you said that if the Germans won, they would make the rules for society and we'd have to follow that. Okay,
It wouldn't be
so,
right.
so if they make the rules, therefore that's what's right, when they come on your door and kill you and your family, you're still going to say that's wrong. So,
Just before you
exactly,
Because it's wrong for me.
It's wrong for you, but it's right for them, so who's right?
Nobody's right.
And this-
Everybody
this-
has their own
this-
ideology.
But the thing is, you don't live like that.
No, the thing is, their ideology will not be beneficial for humanity long term. And we can use logic to deduce what will happen if the Nazis won. You know what I mean? And I gave this example a while ago. They would probably make humanity into an incestuous pool of, all around, but they would start doing incest with each other.
It worked
It would
fine
not be
in
nice.
Genesis.
Huh?
It worked fine in Genesis.
Yeah, that's why I don't believe in the Genesis. Because everybody would have fucking arms
Cain-
growing out of their chests.
No, Cain
If,
says to God, don't send me over there, they will kill me. So there must have been a day to kill him.
Maybe it's the demons. Maybe it's the jinni.
But he's got the mark. So there's
Do
no
you not see
genie, that's
why-
him.
Do you not see that you've made some logical
You're not
errors
teaching.
here? For example, when you say there's no such thing as absolute truth, that's an absolute true statement.
No, it's not.
No, it's not.
You're-
So
It's a statement of probability.
You're
Look, that's your problem. You think I'm claiming
Let me
from
finish.
an absolute
Sorry, Pavlov, let me
from
finish
a
1
perspective
second.
of absolute
Let me finish one
truth.
second. Let me finish 1 second. Let me tell you why it is an absolute statement. It's when you say there is no such thing as absolute truth, you are at least claiming that it's absolutely true, that there's no such thing as absolute truth. You're making a true statement when you give up truth. That doesn't make sense. It's a logical error.
I'm speaking out of probability, not of certainty.
It's probable
Then-
there's
then
no
It's possible.
absolute
Hold
truth.
on. It's possible that you're right and I am wrong, and it's also possible that I am right and you're wrong. It's a matter of probability how we perceive the matter at question, because all the knowledge that we have comes for us through our senses, and thus probability is the only thing achievable to us. You understand what I mean?
believe
So
that
then why
there's
you,
any-
okay, if it's all about probability, why are you making absolute true statements?
I'm not making absolute
You just
true
said, listen, do you not listen?
It's a statement
Follow
of
close.
probability.
You need to reword it.
It's a statement
Follow
of probability.
close. This is why you're making the logical error.
Right.
You're saying there is no such thing as absolute truth.
That's
That is
an absolute statement.
that is an absolute statement. To say there's no such thing as absolute truth, you are at least saying there's no such. I am sure that there is such. sorry, to say there is no such thing as absolute truth, you are at least saying it's absolutely true, there is no such thing as absolute truth,
but that might be wrong.
which is contradictory. And then you say we can't.
then say
one second.
maybe.
And then you say, and then you say we can't be certain about anything. To say I can't be certain about anything is contradictory, because when you say I can't be certain about anything, you are at least saying I'm certain I can't be certain about anything. Your whole entire argument, all due respect this morning, has been totally contradictory.
It really hasn't. Because your
what
idea
about-
of what I'm saying is that I'm saying I'm certain that
It's
I
not
can't
my
be certain.
idea, I'm just
No,
quoting
no,
what
no,
you
no.
said.
You're saying that I'm certain that I can't be certain about anything. And I'm not certain whether I can or not be certain about anything. The problem
Okay.
is, you see, you can laugh, you can clap, you can
Sorry,
laugh.
I'm
It
not-
shows
I'm
that you
not
don't
being-
understand
Okay.
the argument at
No,
play
it shows
here.
you don't understand logical errors. You're
It's
making
just you don't
you're
understand
making a
what
logical.
you're
You're making a logical
Because
error.
I'm telling you something about probability, and you're assuming certainty when you don't have certainty under the
I
grass.
can't be sure about something.
Give me one thing, one idea that is absolutely certain that I can't deny by any chance.
If I put my head under
You
a
are
car,
talking
if I
at
put
the
my head
moment.
under a car tire, I will die.
Yeah, sure. and
So
this
that's
world
certain, yes?
Might not be certain in another world. Is it going to be certain in
What?
heaven?
No,
Is it going to
no,
be certain
no,
in
this
heaven?
isn't
No,
X-Men.
hold on,
There's
hold
no
on,
alternate
hold on,
timeline.
hold on,
That's
hold on.
that's
Hold on,
sorry,
hold on, hold
that
on,
is a
hold on.
juvenile argument.
It's not a
It's a
juvenile
juvenile
argument. It's
argument.
not.
To say, no, 1 second. You just said, give me one statement that's certain. I give you a statement, you agree it's certain, but then you say, oh, it might not be the case in another world that we can't see, that we doesn't know exists.
When Professor
Come
X
on,
didn't get the
with the
wheelchair.
argument, Pavlov. You're supposed to be an intellectual thinker.
On the goalpost that you're putting in the argument.
But
It all
you're
depends
just
on that.
widening it.
I'm not widening in anything.
A different universe.
The thing is,
The
it's
different
already
universe,
too
absolute
wide,
truth is
and it's
true.
not
It's
about
about what-
understanding it.
Pavlov,
I
it's not
understand
about
it's
changing
not
goalposts.
real.
It's not about changing goalposts or widening goalposts. I'm saying these are the goalposts you have. You're saying these are the goalposts we can't see, don't know exist, but let's play by that rule. It doesn't make sense.
No, that's not what I'm saying, man. So what was your argument? You put your head under a car and you die.
Is it certain that I will die? That car hits me.
If the car hits you?
Yes.
No, it's not, because the car's speed might not be big enough
Listen,
for it to
okay,
kill
okay,
you.
okay.
Oh,
Is it-
you
no.
see, you
No, no,
didn't
no, no.
explain it well enough
Okay.
already.
Is it
And
certain?
we can
If-
already
if
see
it's
flaws
science,
in your
right?
argument.
No, but we can all use common sense and know what I'm talking about. If a
Yes.
car's driving at a good speed, 30 miles an hour, I put my head under the tyre, is it certain I'm going to die? Yes.
Good judgment.
And this is the problem.
Imagine that I have a very
No,
strong
make
set
good
of armor
judgment.
around me.
No,
You didn't mention
no,
that either,
no,
did you?
so this is nonsense.
No, you see,
If I
it's
put
not
my head,
nonsense,
You see,
because you need to explain every single small part
I answered
of
the
the
argument. I
experiment.
answered the argument. He's the one now changing the goalposts. Well, okay, it
Could
would
have
kill.
happened in
It
a
would kill.
different
It would
universe
kill
where
you.
there was
It
no
would kill you
bed.
if you'd done this. But if you had a plate of armor around your head, or if you was in another universe, then maybe it wouldn't kill you. Get with it, man. Come on.
If you were the Juggernaut from the X-Men, it
Oh,
would
you see,
kill
it
you.
would kill you
Pavlov,
then,
this is awful argumentation. Come on.
Oh, is it?
I've seen you before. You're better than this.
By
Come on.
probability.
You're
By
suppo-
probability.
you-
If a car is
you're
going
supposed
fast
to be-
enough and it's heavy enough
You are
and your
supposed
head
to be,
is soft
Pavlov, an
enough.
intellectual thinker. You've made logic error after logic error after
common
logic
sense
error,
of the judgment.
and then you change the goalpost. You're committing so many errors. It's unreal.
According to
Well,
him.
I'm
Be
surprised
There's
that you
no
consistent.
don't
absolute
see
good.
why these things make sense. I'm not surprised that you see it the way you see it. Because you accept the absolute possibility of the existence of your God, even though there's no proof
But
of the
you
existence
accept
of
the
your God.
possibility
And-
because you're
wait
an
a second.
agnostic.
And now
You
you're
accept the
speaking.
possibility.
And now you're speaking. I accept the
Because
possibility.
you're
I don't
agnostic.
accept the certainty.
But you're
that's
accusing
the
him of
problem.
your own
No,
stuff.
I'm accusing him of certainty of something he can't assert.
Now, this is a certain
He
claim.
just asserted it. He can't
You're saying,
prove
no,
it.
you're saying,
Bro,
Pavlov, let me finish 1 second.
Do you
Pavlov.
have? Are you there?
No,
Are
Pavlov, let
you
me
there?
finish, let me
I'm
finish.
telling you, God might exist.
Can I
You're
finish?
telling me God
No,
does
no,
exist.
can I finish? You're saying, Ben, you can't. You're saying you could be certain. I'm saying you can't be certain. We're both making certain claims. At least I'm being consistent in saying yes, I'm making certain claims. You're saying I'm making no such thing as certain
I'm not
claims
making a
when
certain
you are
claim.
making certain claims.
Because I'm
You're
saying
making
that
a
God
logical
might
error.
exist.
You're making a logical error.
Bro, okay. Let's go by baby steps so we can get
Use
our,
the
our point
Socratic
through here.
method.
So I'm saying God might exist, but there is no absolute proof to see that God absolutely exists. You're saying God does exist,
What about the human
and I
mind?
know that God
One second.
exists.
What-
And I'm asking you for proof.
okay,
I'm asking you to
okay,
show me that
okay,
God exists.
Pavlov,
Well,
let-
hold on. I'm asking you to give proof of your certainty.
Okay, let me give you
Because
some-
I'm telling you that God might exist.
Okay, let me
and
respond.
thus it's not a certain claim that God does not exist.
Let me,
He's
okay,
certainly
one
putting his
second.
case.
Let me respond. Yeah. Okay. Pavlov, sorry. It's Pavlov, isn't it? Yeah, Pavlov. You're asking for proof. Does proof presuppose truth? Yes. Oh.
It must do.
Okay,
How
so,
can you
so
prove
then
it
how
to
can
be
you
true?
How can you prove something?
You want to know
So
God's
how can you
true?
prove something to be true if there's no such
Proof
thing as truth?
presupposes perception.
No.
Proof presupposes
No way.
probability.
You could show me absolute proof of my
Proof
perception
presupposes
is
per-
faulty and I
Guys,
can't see the
Hey,
proof.
let me finish the argument.
Guys,
Let me
you're
finish.
seeing God as the truth.
Can I finish my
Don't worry about that. Let's just talk about truth.
No,
Why is that the truth?
Let me finish my response. You're asking for proof. Let me just put this one more time.
Right.
Proof presupposes truth. Otherwise, you can't prove anything to be true. They go hand in
don't
hand.
prove it to be untrue.
Proof presupposes truth.
Bless you.
Truth presupposes God.
It presupposes probability.
1 second. It presupposes God.
Truth presupposes
Okay, one second.
absolute
Okay, 1 second.
standards.
It presupposes God because without God, there is no such thing as truth. Stuff just happens.
That's such a bad argument. Look, are all ravens black?
No.
No, they're not black. Have you
No,
seen a
not
raven
all
that's
of them.
not black?
Yeah, the baby ones. They're like fluffy. Yeah.
Not the baby ones.
they're
the
still
adult
ravens.
Not that one, but another one.
Yeah, but
And
the
I'm in a
adult
different universe.
Oh my goodness.
There you go, there you go, there you go. Guys, look,
Yeah, you put black dye in it. Yeah. You don't come out
look, my
the
point
colour.
is, you can't know whether or not all the ravens are black because you haven't seen all
I've
the
seen-
ravens.
I just
in
need
your
to
life.
see
Hold
one.
on, hold on, hold on.
I only
You
need
only
to see
need to
one.
see
Man,
one.
don't cut
Yeah,
nothing.
You
to
only
say
need
that
to see
not
one
all
raven.
of them are black. I just need to see one brown one.
Well, no, but what if the one raven you see is black? And you ask, are all ravens
I say
black?
no. I've only seen one.
Good. Have you seen all ravens in the world?
I've seen one brown one. I know,
Hold
therefore,
on, have
they're
you seen-
not
have
all
you seen-
black. I
Have
don't
you
know
seen
what
a
you're
red
going with
raven? Okay, have you seen a red raven?
this. No, I've seen a
Yes.
brown one.
Good. Excellent. Have you
What do
seen
you mean,
all
yes? I
ravens
said
that exist?
no.
Have
No.
you seen all ravens that exist?
Of course not.
Excellent.
What about a rat
so you
raven?
can't know whether or not they are red ravens or not.
No, I can't.
Same thing applies to God. You don't know everything, and thus you can't know
I
for
think it
certain
sounded
whether
like a good
God
argument when
exists
you
or
thought
not.
it,
Okay,
but it's
I'll
not
tell you what,
coming
we're going
out
around in
well.
circles. We just cut it. Just cut it.
Yeah,
Go around
you see
second.
how you are. You see how you are. You
No,
get
no.
an argument you don't like, you want to cut it. You immediately cut it. Yeah, I
It's
want the
because,
argument.
Listen,
That
I
makes you
can,
feel better,
hang on,
sure.
hold on. I can disprove that all ravens are black with only seeing two
Hold on,
ravens.
hold on.
Listen,
That's
listen.
not the argument
No,
I gave you.
I'm giving
I
you a
asked you
rebuttal.
if there's a red
I'm
raven.
speaking. I'm
If there's a
telling
red
you.
raven or not.
I know
Is
what
there a
you
red
said.
raven?
I'm speaking.
Is there a red raven or
Sorry.
not?
Is
Is there a
there-
red raven?
No, I've seen.
You haven't seen
There
it.
probably is
But
some.
you haven't seen
There
any.
could be a mutation.
You haven't seen all ravens, have you?
What's your point?
My point is, you don't have all knowledge, and thus you can't assert something for certain.
No, I don't have all knowledge, but I believe that there is such thing as absolute
mic
truth.
drop.
What's the problem? No, that's not a mic drop
It
moment.
is a mic
No,
drop
no,
moment.
the
You
mic-
don't
Only
know
someone
everything,
covered the
and
mic.
thus you can't
Pavlov,
assert
you're asking for-
certainty.
Can we just bring it back
You
to
cannot
one-
assert certainty because you don't
Pavlov.
hold all certainty. You don't perceive all certainty.
You're saying it's a mic drop moment. The mic drop moment is when I showed you made about three logical errors in a row. That was the mic drop moment. The problem is you are saying that you can't be certain about this, you can't be certain about that. You're making certain claims when you're saying we can't be certain about anything. You're making knowledge claims when you're saying we can't be absolutely sure.
I'm making
No, one
probability
second.
claims.
You're making knowledge
No,
claims.
you worded
You're-
it
okay,
incorrectly,
one second.
that's
You're
all.
making knowledge claims when you've given up knowledge. When you say I can't be certain about anything, and there's no such thing as absolute truth, you're giving up knowledge, but then you make knowledge claims.
Yeah, but that might be. I admitted that might be.
Again, you're inconsistent.
I already admitted that that might
So
Okay,
be.
do you admit that the whole argument you made is inconsistent and logical?
All right, let's not start.
No,
with this
I admit
silly-
that my
That's
argument
not
is
true.
not
He's not going to
certain.
admit that he's talking.
My argument is not absolutely certain, but my argument is more probable than yours.
Prove
is.
it. Prove
it.
I told you there's 3.8 billion people
I have
believe in
proof of
absolute truth.
uncertainty. You
In
don't have
prob-
proof
no,
of certainty.
In statistical terms, there are more people who hold my view than yours. Atheists are absolutely certain of something. Theists
But
are
I'm not an
absolutely
atheist.
certain. I know. Agnosticism is a very small minority in a global population of people who believe in absolute truth.
Yeah, but you're not united in your belief.
It doesn't
Muslims
matter.
believe in certain
It does
things.
not matter.
You
In the
believe in other
universe that
things.
I'm talking about, it matters that there's absolute, non-absolute.
Who decided that? Who decided it doesn't matter? Are you the
Me.
one who decides that?
Yes.
You decide that?
Yes.
Are you God?
No, I've got statistician qualifications. I've got mathematical qualifications. It does
Really?
not matter what the minority of people say if you are using
minority
probability.
doesn't matter.
You're using probability, which is statistics, and the
Okay.
minority say this and the vast majority say this. Therefore, we disregard the minority,
Okay,
unfortunately.
excellent. So the Nazis should kill all the Jews.
They were a minority.
The Jews
The
were a minority.
Nazis were a minority.
No, but the Jews were a minority.
The
in that
Nazis
country.
were a minority.
don't-
No, but
They
the
should
Germans
disregard
voted
it.
for the Nazis
hold on.
in
The
a
absolute-
democratic
hang on,
election.
no, this
The
is my
majority
take now.
voted for them.
The absolute truth of your knowledge of your mother's love for you because of a
not
chemical
absolute
weight,
truth.
because of a chemical reaction that
It's not
wait,
absolute truth.
you haven't let me finish, so you don't even know if it's absolute truth. The chemical reaction that induces a feeling in you that makes you certain of your mother's affection for you or your affection for her is the same knowledge and affection that I have for God. Therefore, it's not by statistical evidence, it's not by somebody saying to me it's morally wrong for this. I know in my heart, without the Bible, I know right and wrong, and I know that I would always walk past a drowning puppy. I wouldn't give a shit if there's a house on fire, but my God, the voice in my head says, you have to save those people, you have to get it out of the river, because I know that human nature is sinful or just takes the easy option. I know. I've seen men stand by when women are raped on the floor.
You know what you perceived. It doesn't make it certain knowledge. Okay, guys, a very simple question to every single person, whether a believer or not. A being that is not perfect. Why should you trust in what that being perceives as certain?
But you're
Why should you trust what an uncertain being that doesn't know everything perceives as certain? Why should you perceive?
Past experience.
Past experience. So is past experience 100% trustworthy?
Your recollection of events.
No,
yeah,
it's
I
not.
guess. Yeah.
One second. You're saying, can we trust an imperfect being?
If someone has never lied, why do you suppose they're lying?
How do you know if they've never lied?
Because it's been verified to you. You've
It's
seen
been verified by whom? By other
They're
imperfect
telling you
beings.
there's a red raven over there.
And you'll believe them.
I saw it with my own eyes, bro.
I'll tell you what, we're kind of short.
Sure,
Anyway,
sure,
you
sure.
see this nonsense? You'll need to repent. Come to Christ. Otherwise, Auntie Kay's going to be very cross.
Look at her going for the camera, go for those views. Look at that, middle finger of
Look
maturity.
at that
What's your last words?
from the slap.
The last
Nothing?
words. That's a good
and what's
question,
your
guys.
last
The last
words?
words.
Okay. I'll say
I know
this.
you want to do it.
Think
What's
about
your
which one
last
of our
words?
arguments has been more consistent. The man who makes, all due respect, the man who makes logical error after logical error,
Sure.
he says there's no such thing as certainty. We can't be certain about anything, which is contradictory, because when you say I can't be certain about anything, you are at least saying I'm certain that I can't be certain about
No, I'm
anything,
not. I told
which is
you I'm not.
contradictory.
You are.
He says there's no such thing as absolute truth, which is again contradictory. To say there's no such thing as absolute truth, you are at least saying it's absolutely true, there's no such thing as absolute truth, which is contradictory. So which one of our worldviews is more consistent? I'll let you decide.
I'll say something too. The people who don't want you to think will always give you answer. The people who do want you to think will ask you questions. And my question to you is, why should you trust an imperfect being on what that imperfect being perceives as certain and undoubtful knowledge? Think about that for a second.